Hey, so I'm going to do a couple of really important, awesome foundational exercises from Tai Chi. The first one is called the bear. It's kind of a warm-up exercise as well as a Qigong exercise. It's simple, but it doesn't mean that it's easy. It takes a fair amount of practice to feel like you can really do it. And it's really important in showing where momentum comes from and how body alignment and relaxation are so important to allow momentum to do its own work instead of you doing all of its work for you. So what we're going to do is you're going to have your feet parallel. Normally we always walk a lot of the time with our feet slightly pointed out. In this case you want your feet to be directly under your hips, and you want your hips to be directly under your shoulders. This is a really important principle of your body being upright. I like to think of a stack of rocks as if you were trying to balance one rock on top of the other. You always have to be aware of the major stacks of your body. So you have your lower body, your hips, and your kind of core, and then your chest, torso, and your head. And basically, anytime that one of those is off, so say I put my hips over here and my head over here, then tension will be felt in some part of your body as the weight is trying to distribute, but you're going to have to engage muscles to be able to hold this position, because the weight can't just continue fall mechanically through the structure of your body. So in this case, we want to be 50% of weight on one foot and 50% on the other foot, so you have equal weight. Yeah, another very important thing is that your feet could be divided into three very major kind of rocks of stacking where your weight goes. You have this part of the ball of your foot, basically the toe side, the big toe side, the little toe side, and then the heel. And then if you draw a triangle between those, you have a center point right here. And in Tai Chi it's called the bubbling well. It's kind of, imagine like a suction cup on the ground. It's the center of the suction cup which provides the actual core balance point, and which is where the weight really distributes into the ground from your feet. So once we have our feet parallel and we are aware of keeping our weight distribution equal on all three of those nails, the 3 points of the foot. So at any time, it's actually really helpful, especially while you're walking around, spinning especially. I like an exercise to be that you pay attention to where your weight distributes. If you start to find yourself always going to the ball of your foot or always to the heel, or if you're trying to do like the turn and you're kind of off and mostly on one side of your foot or the other, it will inevitably mean that you're unbalanced. And so it's kind of a really foundational, stable checkpoint to see if you're really balanced, to see if you have equal weight on all parts of your feet. And that also coincides with whether your body is stacked, those rocks are stacked right. If my head even is to one side, it's possible, but it's difficult to keep your weight equal on all three nails of both feet. So if you have all three going and you kind of relax and let the weight drop, kind of a visualization and meditation of scanning your body's weight, letting it slowly drop through your just the structure of your body, your bones and your muscles, letting the tension release, letting your shoulders go, and not collapsing but relaxing. There's a really great quote in Tai Chi. It's that relaxation is the line between tension and collapse. So it's a place where the structure, the way that everything works, holds itself together on its own account without any force. That itself is the most important thing that I can try to teach you, that I'm trying to learn. So the bear. This first thing is that you first kind of settle. Imagine that you have kind of an egg under your armpit, so your whole body has a sense of circularity, which is kind of an inherent structure that supports itself. And then as you relax one hip joint, so right now they're both kind of equally engaged, 50% and 50%, and the center line of my body is directly in between my feet. So if I put a laser through my top of my head, pointing straight down, it would hit directly in between my feet. And now if I relax one side and let my body, everything from the core over, fall without changing this line at all, then my center line is going to go directly over the center line of the three nails of my left foot. So I'm just going to fall here and not do it by going like this or like this. As long as and it's kind of proportionate. Like if I go like maybe 3/4 of the way there, then I'll have 70% of my weight on this foot and 30% on this foot. And this will be 70% of the way between the two bubbling wells. So this is a really important little spectrum to always be paying attention to. much more important than what your poi are doing, because based on this, your poi will follow and your structural will work in a effortless, graceful manner. So, the rest of the exercise. Relax this hip joint, especially right here, just release it. Keep your foot on the ground. Get to the point where you're 100% of your weight on one foot, so that you can lift this foot off the ground and the rest of your body wouldn't adjust itself at all. It really is a good test, but you still have a connection with this foot. And then from there, you allow yourself to kind of turn and get like almost corkscrew deeper into the ground, visualizing that there's a root or a stick coming out of your bubbling well out of the middle of your foot into the ground as far as you'd like to. So I'm screwing into the ground with my hips. So I'm turning the direction my weight is on. And I'm never going to let my nose get out of line with my belly button. Because in this way, if I start to do this, then it's a subtle version of this, where the weight starts to have to redistribute in tension in muscles, instead of using a structural support system. So I go to one side, and then when I get to the extreme, where I feel my knee going off the center line of my middle toes, then so I can check by looking down and seeing if my knee is above my center toes. If it starts to get past that point, then you'll also know that because your three nails will be uneven. You'll feel more weight on the left side of your foot in this case. Before that point, so you get right before the edge, you relax this hip joint, falling completely into this one, and then corkscrewing farther into it. All the motion is coming from here, which inevitably creates weight shift, which inevitably creates momentum. So the same thing, I'm going to relax this hip joint, fall into this one, corkscrew deeper. Relax, corkscrew deeper. So this is a really interesting metaphor. You're not creating movement by force, you are relaxing, and it inherently lets movement happen because of gravity and the natural physics present in how things are working out. So the whole motion looks like this. Go here to 100%, so I can check myself by lifting this foot and making sure that nothing's happening with the rest of my body when I do that. To here. Always making sure I'm looking up, I'm relaxed, I'm upright, my body's not caving in or pushing out. And then the last part is that my arms, which is very, very important for poi, my arms are led by my hips. So it's as if that they get caught by the motion of my hips just because I'm not holding them back, insisting them this way or resisting them this way. I'm just allowing them to be dragged. And I'm letting my elbows remain heavy, relaxed, just letting my arms be kind of like little robot arms on this main pillar of my body. So as I relax and turn, my arms will come, and then they'll have a kind of ripple effect of coming towards me. If I had just like stopped, they'd come and hit me if I exaggerated it. So unexaggerated kind of comes in towards my center of my core, and then when I get to that point where I'm switching the other foot, then the other arm fills up and comes across, comes in. There's an emphasis on not tensing your hands or letting them be collapsed. It's a principle called beautiful lady's hand, but they're not like this or like this, that they're relaxed, allowing everything to move freely, that they're also not collapsed. They have a form to them. They follow their own natural form. So to one side, sink, twist to the other side. Making sure to breathe, relax, and really pay attention. And we're using this as a meditative awareness exercise so that you can see where your resource of attention is going, and if it's going to a place that's not effective for you for what you're trying to learn, redirect it back to what's effective. This is something that you can't quite see from the outside very easily unless to the trained eye, but you can quite feel it. It's a very important thing to have a very clear separation of full and empty, so that when I'm full here, I'm really full, and this is completely released. And that from here down. Now when I'm really full here, same thing, 0%, 100%. Very important principle, which is a little more difficult to describe quickly, is that the body, at least as seen in Tai Chi and as experienced by myself and others, has a cross-substantiality principle going on. So that if I'm 50-50, everything in my body is equal with weight and energy distribution. And that if I shift to my left side, then as I'm doing so, it proportionally fills up the opposite arm and the opposite side of my torso, the upper rocks. So as I'm doing this, once I get to 100%, then this arm is the active one, the one with the most potential. don't take my word for it, try it and see if you feel anything different in your arms. Just kind of experience it. A really good example is when we throw baseballs, we step with the opposite foot as the arm that needs the power to throw. You can see it all the time. When we walk, we balance ourselves by putting the opposite foot forward. And if you did it, try it with the same foot forward. It feels really awkward. It doesn't feel balanced and harmonious, and the momentum is not balanced. It's just not continuous and graceful. So as you shift to one side, this is filling up, and this is filling up. Try this in exercises where just spin your poi, flow for a little bit, but pay all of attention to the opposite hand, and when you're doing a move, whether the weight shift corresponds with which hand is active in that movement. That's what I can offer right now.